Welcome to No Longer Conformed, my online teaching and preaching ministry. We're studying the book of Revelation, which I've entitled The Unveiling. In this session, we'll be looking at Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 to 27, description of the city. Chapters 21 and 22 of the book of Revelation reveal the eternal state. At this point in the record, all sinners of all ages, demons and mankind, Satan also, are in the lake of fire. We begin this chapter with verses 1 and 2. Let's look at that. Chapter 21. Revelation, verse 1 and 2. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Listen, the old is gone, a new is coming from heaven. No more sea is amazing, since 3/4 of the earth that we know is covered with water. The new heavenly Jerusalem is the eternal dwelling place for all the redeemed of all time. Hebrews chapter 12, verses 22 to 24. But you have come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and the church of the firstborn who are registered in heaven, to God the judge of all, to the spirits of just men made perfect, to Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaks better things than that of Abel. Listen to the description of these next several verses, beginning with verse 3, down to verse 8. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away. And he who was seated on the throne said, Behold, I am making all things new. Also he said, Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. And he said to me, It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give from the spring of life, the spring of water of life without payment. The one who conquers will have this heritage, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But as for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. God's house is where we will live. The Lord himself will dwell with redeemed mankind for eternity. Listen, old experiences will not be allowed. No tears, no death, no sorrow, no crying, no pain. New things will be experienced. Full satisfaction, water of life. Full inheritance, heritage, and full fellowship. I will be his God, and he will be my son. The one who conquers, and who is an overcomer. Anyone who puts his faith in Jesus Christ. Remember, earlier on we looked at this, 1 John chapter 5, verses 4 and 5. For whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Who is he who overcomes the world? But he who believes that Jesus is the Son of God. Verse 8 lists people not allowed in heaven: the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable, as for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars. People characterized by these will be in the lake of fire at this time. It does not say anyone who has ever committed these sins, but those who live lives characterized by these sins. They were never born again. And John is called to see the city in much detail. Look at verses 9 and 10. Then came one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls full of the 7 last plagues, and spoke to me, saying, Come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. This is the place Jesus went to prepare. In John chapter 14, verse 2 and 3. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. It is identified as the bride of Christ and the heavenly city. This city takes on the character of its inhabitants. This is a truth. Heaven is seen as both a church and a city. These can be seen in the details. Verse 11, having the glory of God, its radiance like the most rare jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. And then notice the symbolism in the description, verses 12 through 14. It had a great high wall with 12 pearls, and at the gates 12 angels, and on the gates the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Israel were inscribed. On the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the 12 names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. A great high wall. It pictures eternal security. 12 gates, the redeemed of Israel. 12 foundations, the church. These are God's people. And then verses 15 to 17 are interesting. And the one who spoke with me had a measuring rod of gold to measure the city and its gates and walls. The city lies 4 square, its length the same of its width, and he measured the city with his rod, 12,000 stadia. Its length and width and height are equal. He also measured its wall, 144 cubits by human measurement, which is also an angel's measurement. Listen, the city is laid out as a cube, 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles. Listen, there will be plenty of room for all the saints. And then look at verses 18 to 21. The wall was built of jasper, while the city was pure gold, like clear glass. The foundations of the wall of the city were adorned with every kind of jewel. The first was jasper, the second sapphire, the third agate, the fourth emerald, the fifth onyx, the sixth carnelian, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprase, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls, each of the gates made of a single pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, like transparent glass. listen, it's difficult to comprehend this description of the city, but you can certainly say that it is clearly a place of beauty. And notice how the city is related to God in verses 22 and 23. And I saw no temple in the city, for its temple is the Lord God, the Almighty, and the Lamb. The city had no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb. Listen, no place of worship to gain access to God. And why is that? Well, the Father and the Lamb are there. No sun or moon. Why? Because of the glory of God, and the Lamb will provide all the light that's necessary. And then look at verses 24 down to verse 27. By its light will the nations walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it. And its gates will never be shut by day, and there will be no night there. They will bring into it the glory and the honor of the nations. But nothing unclean will ever enter it, nor anyone who does what is detestable or false, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. What does this mean? Well, I don't know, except that only the saved will have entrance to this city. Only those written in the Lamb's book